Good afternoon. Today is Tuesday, September 8th, 2020. It is 5:05 p.m. I would call the City of Homestead Community Redevelopment Agency meeting to order. Pursuant to Executive Order 20-193 issued by Governor DeSantis and the City of Homestead's local state of emergency due to COVID-19, this will be a virtual Community Redevelopment Agency meeting. The virtual meeting can be viewed live on the City Access channel or live stream at cityofhomestead.com/public meeting. The public may also participate live during the virtual meeting utilizing video conference via WebEx events or via toll-free conference call number. Please go to cityofhomestead.com/calendar for specific details and instructions on participation using video and telephonic conferencing. The City of Homestead has accepted public comments as part of this virtual meeting, which comments were emailed to publiccomments@cityofhomestead.com. Public comments are limited to 300 words per minute. For the record, the mayor and all council members are present on a virtual basis for this meeting. Are there any deletions or deferrals?
No, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. We have before us the minutes of the CRA board meeting from August 19th, 2020. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes? We have a motion for approval. I'll second. Are there any additions or corrections to those minutes? None appearing. Would any member of this board wish to be reflected as a no vote with respect to the motion for approval? None appearing. The minutes of August 19th, 2020 are unanimously approved. All right. New business. All right. Tab 2, car number 2970, the CRA fiscal year 2020-2021 proposed budget. Is that you, Mr. Pearl?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Tab 2 is a resolution of the Board of the Community Redevelopment Agency of the City of Homestead, Florida, approving the Community Redevelopment Agency budget for fiscal year 2020-2021 and directing the city manager or her designee to submit the budget to Miami-Dade County and the City Council for their respective approval, providing for an effective date.
Thank you. Ms. Driver?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We have a pre-recorded presentation we'd like to play for you now.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Chair and board members. Tonight's presentation is an overview of the CRA's 2020-2021 proposed budget. Community redevelopment agencies were created for the special purpose of promoting and facilitating the redevelopment of areas designated as having slum and blight. The Homestead CRA exists as an economic development strategy to successfully eliminate and prevent these conditions in the city's community redevelopment area. This year's budget focuses on the redevelopment goals and initiatives in the recently amended CRA plan by allowing funding for projects that align with the plan's overall goal to bolster a thriving community where blighted conditions no longer exist and residents enjoy a safe and healthy place to live, work, and play. This slide provides a categorical breakdown of this year's budget. The CRA's total budget, based on the proposed 6.9 millage rate, is just over $4.9 million, and it is broken down as follows: $1.15 million for programs, $2.3 million for projects, $479,747 for employee costs, $580,439 for administrative costs, and $381,825 in other costs. So let's take a closer look at some of the more significant budgeted projects of the CRA. Community policing and code enforcement. Because of necessity, the CRA budget has historically funded at least one community policing officer and one code compliance officer. This year's cost for 2 officers is $252,484. The percentage of code violations necessitate the need for officers designated to the CRA. In 2019, 22% of the city's building code violations and 21% of the city's site and property improvement violations were all in the CRA. This is significant because only 17% of the city's population lives in the community redevelopment area. The next few slides detail supportive programs designed to attract new businesses to the CRA, improve the aesthetics of historic downtown and increase property values, assist local businesses with facade and building improvements, and help residents with much-needed home improvements that will not only enhance the appearance of their home, but also increase its value. The first project is business incentives. The CRA has allocated $150,000 to this flexible fund to be used creatively to incentivize businesses to come and invest in Homestead. Because businesses have divergent needs, these funds are earmarked for incentives based on the individual business. Examples of possible usage include assistance with rent for the first few months of operations, reimbursement of impact fees, assistance with build-out, or credit towards utility services. Our next proposed project is to improve the aesthetics of Chrome Avenue in the historic section of downtown. We want to enhance the character and charm of the area, making it more inviting to residents, visitors, and businesses. This project will be completed in 2 phases, Phase 1 in fiscal year 2021 and Phase 2 in fiscal year 21-22. Phase 1 will begin with the 2 blocks from Flagler to Northeast 2nd Street, and improvements could include painting, window treatments, cleaning street planters, pressure cleaning sidewalks, new signage, and facade improvements, just to name a few. Recognizing that there are other businesses throughout the CRA that could also benefit from redevelopment support, funds have been budgeted to continue the Commercial Improvement Grant Program and Residential Enhancement Assistance Program. We don't know what the future holds, so we have the flexibility of using these funds as needed for emergency grants in response to natural disasters or pandemics like COVID-19. Sticking with the CRA's mission to eliminate or prevent blight and site deterioration, the budget includes funds for ground maintenance and 2 inmate crews to assist with keeping downtown clean and beautiful. Unfortunately, the ground maintenance team and inmate crews cannot help with another prevalent problem in the CRA. And that's illegal dumping. 22% of the city's sanitation violations are in the CRA. And unfortunately, the southwest section of Homestead is the area most victimized by illegal dumpers. The CRA plan identifies the need to address unsanitary and unsafe conditions, as well as site deterioration. $50,000 has been designated in the CRA budget to pilot ideas to address the problem of illegal dumping in the southwest section. Efforts may include community outreach through social media, door-to-door campaigns, or utilizing cameras to deter dumping and find illegal dumpers. These strategies or others may be piloted this year to address this problem in the Southwest neighborhood. Another unsightly, unsanitary problem that is prevalent in the Southwest section is unenclosed dumpsters at local businesses. The city currently has an ordinance that requires new construction to have dumpster enclosures. Unfortunately, the large majority of businesses on the Southwest side are older and were grandfathered in, so what you see are dumpsters out in the open, on the side of the road, or in the middle of the alley. Having the dumpsters out in the open is not only unsightly and unsanitary, it invites illegal dumping, like what's happening in the third picture. Offering to provide dumpster enclosures for businesses in the city's most impoverished area will help to promote the same expectancy for cleanliness and sanitary conditions that is mandated throughout the city. Continuing with the efforts to improve the community redevelopment area, every year the CRA budgets funds for land improvements, which includes the demolition of abandoned and unsafe structures. Also included in land improvements are funds to clean up a CRA-owned lot. During interviews with community stakeholders, including CRA board members, as part of the process for amending the CRA plan, many stated that there is still a need to eradicate substandard housing and properties and attract private use development to the CRA, especially in the Southwest area. They further indicated that CRA should identify additional properties for land acquisition to incentivize investment. This year, $900,000 has been included in the budget for the purchase of rundown properties and acquisition of land or property for future development. And our final budget slide addresses home ownership in the Southwest section. Between 2013 and 2018, property values only increased by 1.5% in the CRA. Residential vacancies are at 11.6%, which is higher than the county average. And only 16.7% of homes in the CRA are owner-occupied. That percentage drops even lower in the Southwest section. These statistics demonstrate that, along with the need for affordable housing, there is an urgency for increased home ownership in the CRA. $50,000 has been designated for a first-time homebuyers program that will provide down payment assistance to individuals purchasing homes in the CRA. Increasing home ownership will begin an upsurge in property values in the area. Mr. Chair, this concludes my presentation for the CRA 2020-21 proposed budget. Thank you for your time and your attention.
Thank you, Ms. Driver. Any initial questions or comments from members of the board?
Mayor, I have a few.
Sure. Go ahead, please, Councilwoman.
Thank you. I want to say that I'm very supportive of the homebuyer assistance program. I think that's a great initiative, as well as the beautification of Crum Avenue. I'm very supportive of finding solutions to the illegal dumping, as well as the improving of the aesthetics of exposed dumpsters at the businesses. However, I do have strong reservations around some of the methods that were presented. So, as long as prior to moving forward on specifying which method we pick, whether it's a concrete corral or an actual camera acquisition for the illegal dumping, that we are able to talk those through at future meetings. Is that correct?
Ms. Driver?
Yes, ma'am, that is correct.
Okay, great. Thank you. Those are my my comments for now on the budget.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Council members?
Mr. Mayor?
Mr. Councilman Fletcher?
Yes, with the understanding that this current request is based on the proposed operating millage rate that we plan on looking at here in the next meeting, is approval contingent based on whatever we decide is the new millage rate at the end of the next meeting?
Yes, sir, that is correct. If there is a change in the millage rate, the 6.9, then the CRA budget will be adjusted accordingly.
Thank you, that's all I have.
Thank you, Councilman Fletcher.
Here, may I?
Sure, Vice Mayor. Good evening.
Good evening. Yes, I want to start off by thanking the CRA commuter driver for the work that you put in crafting this budget. I was very encouraged with the $50,000 home ownership allocation. As the mayor and the council and I discussed racial equity and access in the city of Homestead, we discussed increasing the amount of homeowners in our community. And learning of the 16.7% owner-occupied residences within the Southwest or CRA community, it was a little bit disheartening, but encouraging that we have a mechanism in order to promote home ownership and help those families to achieve the American dream. So thank you so much for bringing that forward. Additionally, the business incentives, I really like that also, in order to invite businesses to come into our CRA community. I think that's a great initiative. As it relates to the illegal dumping and the Southwest dumpster enclosures, I welcome the opportunity to discuss that further and obtain some specifics as it relates to the mechanism with which we will utilize to combat illegal dumping and to help mitigate the unsightly appearance of those dumpsters. I believe there was one more. No, I think that's it for now. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Vice Mayor.
Good evening.
All right, good evening.
Hello, Mayor. I have a few suggestions also about the illegal dumping. That's been an issue for a very long time now. There are also a lot of other ones that I'm excited about, the business incentives, the grants, residential improvements. I think those are all incredibly important, especially right now. And the only one that I'm a little torn on is, and I spoke with Ms. Driver about this, is the Flagler lot. I'm really hoping that we could find a business that's interested in coming in and possibly help us with that. I would love to see that money move to the down payment assistance program. That 16% is not a number that I would like to see, and that's my only idea. I think that the beautification of downtown, that's definitely something we need to keep up and keep going to get some businesses interested in the area. But that was one that I would like to discuss a little further, is the Flagler lot improvement. I know that we might have some deadlines coming up on when we need to have that done, but I'm curious if it is possible to wait another year on that. That's all I have for now.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilman Bailey. I don't know that we have another year. The money that we put in to clean up the lot is precautionary. As I explained, is that we're waiting to hear back from Durham as to what they will require us to do in order to clean that lot. We don't know what kind of time frame they're going to give us once they determine what needs to be done. So we put the money in there as a precaution. If we don't need those funds, then we're able to reallocate them to another line item. And per your suggestion, and if the board agrees, we can always move it to the home ownership program or any other line item that the board agrees to. But we wanted to put it in there just to make sure that we were prepared. I didn't want to have to come back to you all in an emergency situation saying, hey, we need to first of all find this money to move to take care of this matter. And additionally, we are applying for a brownfield grant to assist with the cleanup of that lot. So hopefully we'll get those funds, and if we have to clean it up, then we'll have the money from the grant to do so, and we won't have to come out of pocket.
Great, thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Driver. Mr. Ross? Sure, Councilman Shelley.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple of quick comments. One is I'm glad to see that we've decided to focus, kind of the dollars that we used to put into the facade improvement program into one particular area. I know that was something that the council discussed, I think, at the end of the last budget cycle and during one of our workshops, was trying to maximize the impact that these dollars have. So versus, having applicants from all across the CRA, that hodgepodge receive some dollars, and so one house looks good, but, 5 or 6 don't, to put all those monies into one area at one time so that you're having sections of the CRA kind of coming to life and being improved with these dollars, I'm hoping has a impactful effect on the CRA. So each area that's chosen, starting with Chrome Avenue, where we have a lot of our investment already recently, but then hopefully spreading throughout the other parts of the CRA as we move forward in time so that we can kind of improve it as we go, I think is a great idea. I did want to also reiterate I know the illegal dumping options and concepts. I don't think it's any secret that I'm not a big fan of giving government cameras. And so, that's one of the things where I want to make sure if that is an option that's on the table that we more fully flesh out as we go forward. And I can at least weigh in on at that point on what my ultimate feeling is on whether or not using cameras to combat illegal dumping is a necessity or whether or not it's still something I'm not comfortable with. So as long as that's the case, I'm comfortable with, moving the item forward. And then the other one, too, is the discussion came up about what happens if we modify the millage rate, at our next coming budget hearing and how that affects the ultimate CRA budget as presented. And so obviously it can be scaled up or scaled down. But I guess the question would be if for some reason the majority of council does not decide to leave the millage rate as currently proposed, and as is, I guess, the basis for this budget, when would you come back with us with those cuts, and what areas you would make those cuts in order to make the budget equal out whatever millage rate is established, or what's your plan for that reduction if that occurs?
No, sir, if you would, in the resolution, there's language where we would not have to come back before you. We would have time because we'd have to have this prepared for the next week's council meeting. So we wouldn't have time to bring it back before you, but the language in the resolution addresses that. And so if the millage rate changes tonight, we will immediately begin modifying the CRA budget in accordance with the new millage rate.
But as far as which area those dollars may be cut from, do you have an idea of where you would be pulling these dollars? Because as we're making policy decisions on what one area is more important than another, will we have an opportunity to weigh in on that, or how will you make that determination on where you're going to be cutting those from each area that you presented?
If you have a preference at this moment, then I welcome your preference, your ideas. And what I had thought was that we would pull it out of the property acquisition fund, a line item. But if there is some opinion from the board or some other wishes from the board, by all means, please let me know so that way we can prepare in accordance.
Okay. No, I mean, I'll let my colleagues weigh in on that as well. What I wanted to make sure of is I know some of my colleagues had expressed interest in one program over another. I'm perfectly fine with you pulling it out of the land acquisition category and leaving the rest kind of as is. My concern was not being able to fully fund some of the programs that you had presented and having to have one of them reduced over another and what that would be from a policymaker's perspective. But I'm comfortable with if it's coming out of land acquisition, then I'm okay with that. So that's all the questions I have at this time, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Shelley. Councilor Roth?
Thank you, Mayor. No, I just reiterate what everyone else has said. I want to hear how things progress, and it's a job well done and a professional presentation on that. And the dumpsters are an issue for me. They always have been. I don't know how we solve that problem. I think the picture of the one dumpster is actually across the street from the actual business, and that's kind of strange too. So look forward to passing this and then listening to what we create afterwards. Thank you, Mayor.
Great. Thank you, Councilor Roth. Ms. Driver, you mentioned that there are perhaps some grants available for the environmental cleanup. Has that been applied for, or have we just identified it?
The RFP just came out a week ago, and so we are in the process of beginning to put our application together.
Okay.
The end of October.
All right, so off the top of your head though, when would we know if that will be awarded?
I believe they make notification by the end of the year, sometime in December.
Okay,
I
so
think that, but I believe that.
as government goes, I guess that's pretty fast track as you can get, because, you know, we really need some resolution on that. That's gonna be necessary for whatever the ultimate use of that piece of property might be. And just coincidentally, I was in a conversation over the weekend with some agricultural interests who were discussing similarly impacted properties, same type of issues. And there was a lengthy discussion about some of these new strains of hemp that are now legal to grow in Florida, literally act as a sponge to pull some of those pollutants out of the ground. Right? It would be really neat to tie into the agricultural community and these new technologies, rather than having to resort to having heavy equipment over there and scraping it down to the hard rock and replacing that with fill, more of the organic type of remediation. So I think there are a lot of alternatives out there, and like my colleagues, we'll come back and sharpen our drawing utensils as to where we go from here and how we address some of these other very important aesthetic and blight and slum issues. So with that, do we have a motion to approve the budget as presented?
I'll move it.
Moved by Councilwoman Avila. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Bailey. Any further discussion from council? All right. Is there anyone who wishes to be recorded as a no vote with respect to the approval of the proposed Community Redevelopment Agency budget for fiscal year 2020-2021? None appearing. Motion, this item passes. Are there any other comments from the board? Any further business with respect to the Community Redevelopment Agency before we move on? None appearing, then I will adjourn the Community Redevelopment Agency meeting. It appears that we are just past 5:30, so I suppose we can roll right into the city budget meeting.